Welcome to another segment of Inclusion Unlimited. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this channel so we can continue to bring original content aimed at making this world a more inclusive place for individuals with disabilities. Now, one of our newest endeavors for Morgan's is Morgan's MAC, the Multi-Assistance Center. It is revolutionizing care for individuals with disabilities by providing a single point of contact for all their needs. A partner called a navigator who does one comprehensive evaluation of a person and then sets up a course of treatments to meet all of their needs and oversees all of their appointments. So why is the MAC needed? Well, here's Chloe's story.
Chloe Fields has a rare genetic disorder, a mitochondrial disease called Leigh syndrome.
Metabolic disorder. It's caused by a genetic defect. She looks like a really typical 13-year-old girl, but she has the functionality of an infant. Her brain just doesn't effectively tell her body what to do. So we pretty much have to do everything for her.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Chloe.
Leigh syndrome is fatal. Typically, kids with this disease do not live more than a couple of years. But I always tell people that's her diagnosis, but she's so much more than a diagnosis. She's a beautiful, smart, courageous, funny, curious, adventurous girl who makes the world a better place.
The Fields have been fighting the system of care for years. For them and most individuals with disabilities, Morgan's MAC is long overdue.
We often say, it takes a village to do just about everything with Chloe. She has over 25 specialists. We have 4 in-home nurses. We have speech, PT, occupational therapy. It is an exhausting amount of coordination and planning just to get her to all the basic services that she needs.
Suzette, you're able to call me and say, hey, you know what? I have 5 appointments coming up and they're on 3 different days. Can we look on how to streamline those?
Suzette and I have talked for years about what Chloe and kids like her need. We need that coordinated care. We need a place where we're not always the one saying, what about this, but someone is proactively managing that with us and for us. The idea that would be somebody's sole job to look at Chloe's needs, to assess all the services she could and should benefit from, and to be showing up proactively in our life to make sure that happens, it's huge.
The MAC has very special meaning to the Fields family. Dr. Fields is the CEO of Morgan's. He not only lives the challenges of having a child with disabilities, his work is also dedicated to improving the lives of everyone touched by special needs.
The services that the MAC offers is not just theoretical to me, it's our life. Look at you, that is so awesome. I love it. That is cool. So when I see some of our MAC members or our MACers or our staff, Suzette's used to getting the text from me of, here's why I cried at work today. It's more than a job and more than a building to me.
And Dr. Brent Fields joins us now. Hi, Brent.
Hey, Leslie, great to be here.
Well, first of all, thank you for being so open and sharing so many intimate details about your family. Let's start with, how is Chloe?
She's doing great, all things considered. We always say every day with Chloe is a gift, and we never take that lightly. So she's living the best life she can, and we're grateful for all the folks that help us make that happen.
And she's 16 now.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
It is.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the MAC. We talked about that a little bit in the story, but we've come a long way since we first opened. How many MAC members do we have? How's the growth been?
Yeah, we've been open over 2 years, and we're serving well over 6,000 people since the day we opened our doors, and a lot more to come. We've been very intentional about not trying to see everybody and do everything all at once, so we're intentionally working our way up to what will be our maximum capacity. But a lot of families have experienced this place firsthand over the last 2 years, and we think it's really a transformative program. But I'll tell you, Leslie, one of my favorite things about the MAC that is not often enough talked about is really more about the culture. Just the intentionality and the empathy that you experience here. So I often tell people, regardless of all the services that are happening here, whatever you're coming here for, it could be a haircut or to get something to eat in the cafe or to get, therapy or to see a primary care physician. What I find unique and impactful is wherever you're at in the building and whatever service you're receiving, you're going to experience people who get it. People that have been trained in inclusion, people who understand why we're here and why these families need and deserve the attention they're getting. And I love when I hear people say, from the minute I come in the parking lot to the elevator to the appointments, I just consistently experience people who treat my kid like they belong here. And we feel welcome and we don't feel othered, and it just feels right and like it was part of a plan, and it was.
Well, let's talk a little bit about having a daughter with a disability. And she has multiple disabilities. She's very fragile. I think for a lot of people who are typicals, they're intimidated sometimes by individuals who have disabilities because they just don't know the right thing to say. So as a parent of Chloe, can you give advice to people on how do you interact and should you be scared?
Yeah. Well, and I will say, I think the expectations are different depending on what your role is. Now, you and I are professionals and we work for Morgan's, and there's an expectation that we have some unique training and sensitivities to this, and words matter. So we're quite thoughtful and intentional about the way we talk about and engage with this community. Now, I think it's different for a person on the street who doesn't have that lived experience, doesn't have the benefit of the training and exposure that you and I do. In that case, I would tell you what matters even more than words is your intention. So I often have people say to me, Brent, what's the right word or the right terms that I should use when, talking about Chloe? And I often say, the most important word you can use about Chloe is her name. I can't tell you how many people just look right over her as if she's an inanimate object and ask us to speak for her. Now, we're used to being her voice. We partner with her in expressing her needs, but it means so much when someone will just look into her eyes and say, hey, Chloe, what's going on with you?
And you get such a reaction from Chloe. She has so much personality.
She knows it.
Her eyes and she is there and
She's
she
all
hears
there.
you. She just can't talk the same way we
Yep.
talk. So, all right, let's talk about that.
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah.
play the devil's advocate. How should I address Chloe if I've never met her before? I'm seeing you guys at the store for the first time.
Yeah.
What do I go up to Chloe? What would be the right thing to do?
Again, there are some great basic tools of etiquette that make this easier for you and more effective for the person you're trying to talk with. And I'm going to brag about this program a little bit and tell you that the folks listening and watching that we have a lot of content out there where we talk about, communication tips and things like, for example, Chloe uses a wheelchair. That's an extension of who she is. So it's not an accessory, it's part of her package. And so it's a general rule of thumb, for example, I don't touch someone's wheelchair, I don't initiate moving them around unless they ask for it. So it's funny, the common courtesies are not that different than what you would do in a typical situation. So when in doubt, ask. If you are uncertain and awkward, it's okay to say that. Like, I love it when someone says, why does Chloe use a wheelchair? And what should I do or not do around her wheelchair? Regardless of what disability she has, regardless of all the adaptations and equipment and services that help her navigate life, at the end of the day, you know what she is? She's a 16-year-old girl.
And beautiful at that.
So I think a good rule of thumb is approach them like a person, not a disability. What's your normal instinct with people? To give them eye contact, to pause and let them react, to check things out and read their body language. And so a lot of those same principles apply to her just like it would any other situation.
Thank you for sharing your beautiful family
Yeah,
and your
absolutely.
story.
We love telling her story. We're very privileged. We have a lot of advantages that we show up with for Chloe. But being part of this enterprise and this mission really just puts the cherry on the top. And we're always glad to talk about it.
You really do have a big heart, and you have such an emotional connection to everything we do. And just thank you. Thank you for your leadership
Yeah.
and your guidance. And here we go to the next one.
That's right. That's right. Glad to be here.
Dr. Brent Fields, thank you very
Thanks.
much.
Yeah.
Remember, like, subscribe, and share. We'll see you next time.